Welcome to this episode of the Aquarist Edge, a podcast for home aquarists just like you. Learn more about how to keep a thriving aquarium and discover ideas and tips to give your aquarium the edge. And now, over to our host, Arthur Preston.
It's important that we set the record straight and uncover the truth about several common misconceptions in the aquarium hobby. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to take us through the top 5 myths in the aquarium hobby. These are in no particular order. They are 5 myths that I come across quite regularly as the owner of Art's Fish Room. Often when people arrive or they send me emails, they have questions about the type of fish that are available. They have questions about the care for those fish. Very often the information they share has no basis in truth. And it's very clear that they either are confused or have not done their homework or any kind of research. And of course the danger there is that they will just buy fish randomly. They will set up a tank that is not suitable for the particular animals that they want to buy. And despite the health and well-being issues that are for the animals that will be around that, there's also a chance that they will lose excitement and enthusiasm for the hobby when things go horribly wrong. So I do believe that it's really important that we share these 5 myths, that we talk about the reality behind them, we talk about why they've become myths, and we set the record straight. So that's what I want to do today. So now I'm going to get into myth 1, which is probably one that you have heard several times and you may in fact even believe. And that is that you need a huge tank for healthy fish. And the logic for that, I guess, makes sense. In nature, fish live in big rivers, in lakes, in oceans. But here's the thing. While larger tanks are more stable and forgiving when it comes to water conditions, smaller tanks can absolutely work too, if you're taking care of them properly, of course. For example, bettas or guppies. These little fish can do really well in smaller tanks. You just need to stay on top of things like filtration and water changes. And it's true, smaller tanks might need a bit more maintenance since there is less room for error, but they are far from impossible to manage. And did you know that some dwarf shrimp species absolutely thrive in nano tanks as small as 20 liters? It really is proof that even tiny setups can support a healthy, happy aquatic environment when done right. So what's the key? Well, fundamentally you need to match your setup to the needs of the fish. So whether your tank is big or small, good water quality and regular care are what really matter. So whether your tank is big or small, good water quality and regular care are what really matters. But let's dig a bit deeper. Larger tanks can also present challenges. They need more space, there's more water for water changes, and they can be harder to clean if you don't have the correct tools. Now, on the flip side, a smaller tank might limit the number of fish you can keep, but it is an excellent option for those who are new to the hobby or simply tight on space. Over and above that, there's an aesthetic thing here as well. Small tanks can make for a striking centerpiece in a home or office when aquascaped thoughtfully. I have a small tank on my desk at home and one at my desk in my office. And it's absolutely wonderful to have this aquatic world right where I can see it every day when I'm at work. So remember, the tank size debate is not about which is better. It's about understanding what works best for your lifestyle and, more importantly, the needs of the animals that you wish to keep. So let's tackle myth number 2. And that is that goldfish will grow to the size of their tank. Now, guys, this one's been around forever. People assume that if you keep a goldfish in a small tank or bowl, it will stay small. Well, that's absolutely not true. What actually happens is that the fish's growth becomes stunted, and that's simply not healthy. Goldfish are messy eaters and they produce a heck of a lot of waste, which means they need plenty of space and a solid filtration system to stay healthy. To give you some idea, a single goldfish needs at least 100 liters of water, and if you're adding more fish, you'll need even bigger tanks. When they are cared for properly, goldfish can grow to 30 centimeters or more and live for decades, sometimes well over 40 years. So what is the takeaway here? Don't skimp on space if you're keeping goldfish. Very often people will say, well, if you're starting out in fish keeping, get yourself a goldfish, it's the easiest fish to keep. I really would argue that I do not believe they're the easiest fish to keep for 1 minute. And they do need a dedicated aquarist to care for them properly. They're more than just pretty decorations. They are pets that deserve room to thrive. But let's break this myth down further. Growth stunting doesn't just affect a goldfish's size. It can also lead to internal organ damage and a shorter lifespan. Many people don't realize that goldfish are highly intelligent and they are social creatures. They absolutely thrive in environments where they can explore, interact, and even play. By keeping them in a cramped space, you're not just limiting their physical growth, you're actually affecting their overall quality of life. On top of this, goldfish require clean water to thrive. In a small tank or bowl, waste builds up quickly, leading to ammonia spikes that can harm or even kill your fish. A properly sized tank with good filtration isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for their health and happiness. Another fish that people have a lot of stories about is the betta fish. And there's a myth that says betta fish need to live alone. And this one comes from the fact that male bettas are territorial and they will fight if they are housed together. So people assume that all bettas need to be isolated. But there is a twist to this. Female bettas can actually live together in groups called sororities, as long as you've got enough space and hiding spots in the tank. Now, you will find that there are aquarists on YouTube and other spaces who are great fans of female betta sororities, and there are others who say absolutely not. From my side, I do believe they can work. They do work because, as I said a few moments ago, if you have enough space and hiding spots, those female bettas will thrive together. You'll need a minimum of 75 litres to house a group of females comfortably. The tank should have plenty of plants and decorations so the fish can claim their own spaces and retreat if needed. And of course you've got to keep an eye on their behaviour. Some females of the species can be a bit bossy and they might need to be separated. It really is fascinating to watch a betta sorority interact. They form little hierarchies and even communicate through body language and colour changes. It's a bit like having a mini soap opera in your tank, minus the drama. But what about male bettas? While they can't live with other males, they can often coexist with other peaceful species, like certain types of tetras or bottom dwellers such as corridoras. The key is ensuring the tank is spacious enough and that the other fish aren't too nippy. Tank mates that like to bite at flowing fins will stress a betta out. And now, this myth also overlooks how interactive bettas can be with their owners. These fish are known for recognizing their caregivers and even showing excitement during feeding time. So while they might need some solitude in their tank, they're far from so-called lonely fish. They will actually bond with you if you give them the chance. Now, we all know that keeping aquariums is not just about watching a pretty aquascape. There's maintenance to be done. And one of the myths that people use to not keep aquariums is that aquarium maintenance is simply too difficult and takes up too much time. Now, I get this. When you're starting out, there's all the advice about parameters, algae, equipment. There's a lot of overwhelming stuff you need to take on board. But here's the good news, that once you've got a routine, it's actually pretty straightforward. Start simple. Choose hardy fish and low-maintenance plants to build your confidence. Set aside 15 minutes a week for basic tasks such as water changes and cleaning your filter, and you'll be amazed at how manageable it all becomes. As I've said often on this podcast, spending time observing your tank can also help you catch issues early before they turn into big problems. And before you know it, maintenance becomes less of a chore and more of a relaxing part of your week. Trust me, it's worth it. Maintenance becomes even easier when you invest in the right tools. A good siphon for cleaning gravel, an algae scraper for keeping the glass clean, and test kits for monitoring water quality can save you tons of time and effort. Automation can also help. Use a timer for your lights or an automatic feeder. These things can make your tank care nearly foolproof. Treat your tank like a piece of living art. When you spend a few moments each day simply watching your fish, you will not only enjoy the peaceful vibe they bring, but you will also notice any changes that might require attention. It really is a win-win. The final myth in this list is that more light equals healthier plants. Now, this myth comes from a good place. Plants need light for photosynthesis, right? So more light must be better. Well, not exactly. Too much light can lead to algae blooms and actually stress your plants out. The trick is to match the light to the plants. Low light plants such as Java fern and Anubias are super forgiving and perfect for beginners. Medium light plants such as crypts need a bit more, while high light plants like Rotala might require intense lighting and supplementation with CO2. Keep your lights on for about 6 to 8 hours a day and you'll avoid overdoing it. Modern LED lighting fixtures even let you adjust the intensity, so you can create a natural environment for your tank. And don't forget, plants also need nutrients, and balance is the key to keeping your tank lush and algae free. Nutrient availability and CO2 levels play a huge role. Think of your tank as a triangle. Light, nutrients, and CO2 all need to be in balance. Too much of one without the others can throw the system off and lead to problems such as overgrowth of algae. So for beginners, a low-tech setup with slow-growing plants and perhaps a basic liquid fertilizer is the easiest way to achieve success. And over time, as you gain confidence, you can experiment with higher light setups and even try aquascaping techniques to create stunning underwater landscapes. So folks, there you have it. 5 common myths in the aquarium hobby busted. Whether it's tank size, goldfish growth, or better social lives, knowing the truth helps us give our underwater world and our fish and the animals in our care the best care possible. As always, I thank you for spending time on this podcast. Thank you for listening to this on your favorite podcast app. Thank you for listening to it on YouTube if that's where you found us. However you've found this podcast, please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or follow us on your podcast app. It would really be valuable if you could add a review for us if you follow us on Apple Podcasts. That will help us get this podcast in front of other people. Until next time, happy fish keeping, stay curious. Bye for now.
That's it for this episode of the Aquarius Sedge. Please consider subscribing to this podcast so that you don't miss further episodes. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast, as this helps make it visible to others. Until next time, keep learning and discovering, and keep finding your Aquarius Sedge in this captivating and fascinating hobby.